I'm coming at you live on tape from Sydney, Ohio. And this week, we're talking once again about Stephanie's sex life. This has become a popular topic on this series. Maybe we should do a whole 9-part series on Stephanie's sex life. Though the only people we know about Stephanie's sex life are Triple H, for sure are Triple H, because she hasn't delved into a book yet on her sex life, which I think she should do. Write a book on her sex life, like Elvira did. I mean, Elvira's book was a bestseller. I imagine Stephanie's sex life book would be a bestseller too. But anyways, we're talking about the long-standing rumor that Macho Man had sex with an underage Stephanie McMahon, and that's why he was never allowed back in WWE until 4 years after his death, and then put into WWE Hall of Fame. Now, a few years before that, before he died, he was allowed into video games, and WWF quietly kind of put him back in the highlight reels and in the video games and stuff. But that's when they quietly acknowledged him again. But up until that point, he was kind of the man, he was kind of the name you could not utter. And numerous writers said that when they brought up bringing Macho Man in, or doing something with Macho Man or putting him in the Hall of Fame, Vince would always say, I do not want to work with that man ever again. And this is kind of the reason that's rumored why. So I will take you back into 1993 or 94. Some say it was 93, some say it was 94. He left WWE in 1994 and went to WCW. So I believe it would be more 94. So let's take you back to 93/94. Macho Man was working as a color commentator in WWE. Well, it was WWF back then. And was not happy with his role, but he was divorced from Miss Elizabeth and on the trail of many, many women. Stephanie McMahon in 93, up until September of 94, was underage. In September of 94, she turned 18. Now, we don't know if Stephanie had a crush on Macho Man. We know Macho Man was like Shane McMahon's hero. But we don't know if Stephanie also had a crush on Macho Man. But we do know Stephanie McMahon liked men with big muscles, hence her marrying Triple H. And we don't know if her Test relationship was real, but Test also had big muscles. Then again, she did kiss several women in WWF. If you don't believe me, look that up. Look up Stephanie McMahon Hot Lesbian Action or Stephanie McMahon HLA. So, Stephanie McMahon was underage at the time. She was under 18. And rumor has it that her and Macho Man got together and bumped uglies when she was well, the rumor is she was 14, which would have put her in 1990. But Macho Man didn't leave till 94. So, and the rumor is 1994 or 93, which would put her at 17, not 14, when Macho Man was leaving. So we're going to go with her being 17, but still underage technically. And that Macho Man did her at an underage. And that is why he left WWF and went to WCW. Now, Macho Man's official reason for leaving WWF was that he was tired of doing color commentary and wanted to wrestle again. He also took the Slim Jim's contract with him. Now, this has never been confirmed by anybody. So it has been, I mean, it has been confirmed, but it was never confirmed by Macho Man or Stephanie. It was confirmed by Macho Man's later girlfriend, Gorgeous George, who said while her and Macho Man were doing ecstasy on the beach, Macho Man spilled the beans and said that yes, he had sex with underage Stephanie, but that's all she said about it and didn't go into any details. Lanny, Macho Man's brother, Lanny Poffo, said that he heard from Macho Man that it is true, but once again, he didn't go into any detail, and that explains why Vince McMahon wanted nothing to do with him. Dutch Mantel said it would explain why in the early 90s, Stephanie was told to stay away, Macho Man was told to stay away from Stephanie, and that would explain Stephanie having a big crush on Macho Man and Vince not wanting them to hook up because Stephanie, as we know, has her father's libido. But the thing is, none of these guys seen it, and Gorgeous George, she was only in wrestling for like 2 or 3 years and only dated Macho for only like 2 or 3 years before she broke up with him because he bugged her house and put cameras in her house, and it was not an amicable split. Lanny is not the most reliable source for things. As for Dutch Mantel, he wasn't actually in WWF at the time. He had just heard rumors about it. So none of our sources that say it was real are exactly the most reliable. But Macho Man's dead, so he can't confirm it. He died in 2011 and was then put in the Hall of Fame 4 years later. Stephanie has not yet written that tell-all sex book that we all want. And Vince is going to go to his grave without us knowing that Stephanie boinked Macho Man. Though I imagine if Macho Man did come back to WWE to wrestle, Vince would gladly use this as, if Vince was in charge still and Stephanie was there and Macho Man came in, Vince would have gladly used this in a storyline because Vince wanted to do an incest angle with Stephanie, with either him or Shane being the father of Stephanie's first child. Because he's Vince McMahon. So yes, the rumor is that 94 or 93, one or the other, when Stephanie was 17, Macho Man had sex with Stephanie, and that's why he left WWE and was edited out all the highlight reels. He was pretty much thou who has no name in WWE, just like Chris Benoit later became. Only Macho Man was welcomed back shortly before his death. So join me next week. I was going to take next week off, but I have a lot of fun doing these videos. And I don't think I'm going to take next week off now. So join me next week as we continue down my list of possible wrestling ideas.